welcome to Storyline. The girl who sued her own wedding. A bride who backed out of her big day is making headlines around the world. But this is not about a cold foot. This is about a girl child who refused to marry a stranger twice her age. Inside a crowded Jacobabad courtroom, 16-year-old Rohila Khan stands in a black shalnat, bridal red. Around her, 40 people are packed into the narrow aisle. Some are seated on the floor, others stand with arms akimbo. All eyes are on the young girl. Across the aisle sit her parents and the 35-year-old groom, a distant cousin who she has never met before. Rohila looks up, takes a deep breath, and speaks. Does a father have the right to sell his daughter's life? She doesn't know it yet, but those words will become famous, even legendary. The case will be one of the most talked about lawsuits of the year, and the father, Ghulam Sarwar Khan, one of the most vilified men in the country. So how did things get here? Back in February 2017, Ghulam's brother-in-law Haji Bucks wanted his son Salim to marry soon. He set his eyes on Rohila and approached the father with a proposal. Then began a series of negotiations that would change Rohila's life forever. Eventually, Ghulam agreed to the match. An agreement was made. 500,000 Pakistani rupees and a jeep in return for his daughter's hand. That's over $3,000 and an all-terrain vehicle. To put it mildly, Rohila was not thrilled. But when her mother heard about the groom's age and looks, she lost no time in changing Rohila's mind. The groom, according to her, was a hunk. At the very least, he looked like a man. Meanwhile, the wedding preparations began. Women were busy with the embroidery and sewing, while the men went about booking the marriage hall and deciding on the guest list. Everyone was excited, except Rohila. She was scared. Her entire future looked bleak. How could she possibly spend the rest of her life with someone so much older than her? It didn't help that Rohila was still young and had her entire life ahead of her. What was she to do? Then came the turning point. A few days before the wedding, Rohila got hold of a mobile phone. She went to a cybercafe, downloaded the Child Marriage Act, and read about her rights. Turns out that her father had broken the law by agreeing to the match. Her new weapon was knowledge. And like they say, knowledge is power. On the day of the wedding, chaos erupted at the Khan household. Rohila refused to cooperate. She knew that if she left the house, she would be taken to the courthouse and married off against her will. So she barricaded herself inside her room, cut off all her hair in a fit of rage, and refused to eat anything. Meanwhile, her father and uncles tried breaking down the door. She screamed for help. Soon enough, news spread across the neighborhood. Before long, the entire locality gathered outside the house. People were shouting and banging on the door. Among them were members of the village council, or panchayat. They were trying to mediate between Rohila and her family. One of them told her, "If your father has done something wrong, we will sort it out. Why don't you let him in?" When Rohila heard this, she slipped out of the house, leaving behind the angry mob. She ran as fast as she could, all the way to the courthouse. How did she dare take such a huge step alone? Well, she wasn't alone. Adila Bibi, a local women's rights lawyer, had come to represent her. The two women filed a writ petition under the Child Marriage Restraint Act of 1929, which makes it illegal to marry anyone below the age of 18. In their defense, the father and uncles argued that Rohila was old enough to make her own decisions, and that she had indeed eloped with Salim. Voluntarily or involuntarily, Adila cross-examined the groom. She asked him to produce his computerized national identity card, which establishes one's age. The groom was unable to do so. Also in their possession was a medical age report of Rohila, which confirmed that she was indeed a child. Last but not the least was Rohila's affidavit, which established that she was not consenting to the marriage. With 4 solid pieces of evidence, Adila was confident of winning the case. The judge delivered the verdict the same day. The marriage was declared illegal and void. Furthermore, Rohila was placed under court protection until she turned 18. News outlets picked up the story, and national headlines blared, "16-year-old cancels her own wedding." Overnight, Rohila became a household name. Many women's rights activists reached out to her, congratulating her for standing up for herself. Adila was proud of her client. "It was her courage and confidence that won the case for us," she says. In the coming weeks, Rohila returned home. The villagers were surprised to see her back. They had assumed that she would be married by now. But since she was staying at home, the panchayat summoned her again. The members reprimanded her, saying that she had shamed the family. By taking the groom to court, the men threatened to disown her. Rohila's mother chimed in, telling them that she had to go through with the marriage because they had already received the money and the car. But Rohila refused to budge. She told the men that she had done what she had to do. "I will live on the streets, but I will not marry Salim," she said. The panchayat got up in arms, but ultimately backed off. Salim, the groom, tried speaking to her directly. He warned her that if she did not withdraw the case, he would ensure that she married him whether she liked it or not. When Rohila did not agree, Salim threatened to file a counter case for harassment. But Rohila was prepared for that. She had decided to fight. The threats continued for a couple of weeks, but soon died down. And then came the social boycott. According to reports, local vendors refused to sell flour to Rohila's family, accusing them of bringing bad name to the community. Again, Rohila stood firm. "I'm buying my freedom with courage," she told the press. In the meantime, Rohila appeared in court again, this time as a state witness. The judge wanted to record her statement. "I am very happy that the court has given me justice," she said. "I want to become a lawyer and fight for other girls like me." In the coming months, more girls followed in Rohila's footsteps. Within 3 months of her landmark ruling, 12 girls filed similar cases against their families. One of them was Gulali, a 13-year-old who was being forced to marry a stranger. She too, like Rohila, approached the Sindh High Court and secured an injunction. Her marriage was cancelled, and she was sent back to school. Rohila's story led to wider reforms too. In April 2017, the Sindh Assembly passed a law to tighten the Child Marriage Act. The minimum age of marriage for girls was raised to 18. Previously, it was 16. The legislation also ensured punishment for those who violated the law. Today, Rohila is all grown up. She's studying law in college and will graduate soon. Her story is being taught in classrooms around the country, inspiring hundreds of young minds. In fact, Rohila has become a legend. She keeps the annulled Nikanama framed beside a black graduation gown that reads, "My first wedding was to the law. The next will be to my choice." Rohila's journey began with a simple question: does a father have the right to sell his daughter's life? 5 years on, she has answered it. Not only did she become the youngest lawyer to ever argue a case in the Sindh High Court, she also proved that a child's voice can shake an entire system. In 2019, UNICEF adopted the Rohila model as a case study to end child marriage globally. The story goes on to show that courage mixed with knowledge is the perfect recipe for change. What did you learn from Rohila's story? Tell us in the comments. And if this story empowered you, tap subscribe. You'll find more empowering real-life stories here. Until next time, This is Storyline Official, signing off.